Hey guys, it's me again. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name's Kristine Kugler. I'm currently a professional dancer slash showgirl on Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas, and this is my first contract. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about how I became a cruise ship dancer. I'm going to tell you about my own background and training, how to prepare for an audition, what to expect for audition day, and also how I got the job and preparing for my contract. Now, just a brief little background on me. My family grew up going to cruises, specifically Disney cruises. We were big Disney cruisers. I was my family's planner for the vacation. I just absolutely loved cruising. Some of my favorite memories of my childhood were on Disney cruises. If you've ever been on a Disney cruise, you've probably seen the Golden Mickeys, which is a production show. And since I was so little, I remember watching that show with my eyes wide open. I'd go to any showing they had that cruise. I was in the front row, just obsessed with the dancers, and I remember telling my parents when I was so young that that was exactly what I wanted to do. I definitely was just obsessed with this job since the first time I knew it existed. I knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and I was gonna do anything I could to get there. Just the thought of not only performing and doing something that you love, but also making it a career and being able to travel and meet people from all over the world was just exactly what I've always dreamed of. And I've always said my lifelong dream is just to dance and travel, and if I could get paid to do it, then that's what I'll be doing. I get lots of DMs sometimes from young dancers wondering how I got to where I am today. That just warms my heart because that was absolutely me. I was obsessed with cruise ship dancers, seeing where they were going, following as many as I could find. I mean, I just wanted to be exactly like them. So that's why I wanted to make this video, so that if there's any other dancers out there, or maybe you're just curious on how this job works and how I got here, then hopefully you learn a little something from this video. Just a little disclaimer, I want to say everything that I'm saying is just based on my own experiences. I know I've heard 100 different stories of how people have gotten into this job, how they auditioned, but I am only speaking on how I trained, what I did to prepare, how I auditioned, and only based on my experiences. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first off, I want to start by explaining my background and training. So I started dancing at the age of 2.5. Obviously not doing very much. Started with the baby ballet and baby jazz. Worked my way up from there. I started competing at 8 years old and competed on and off until I was 18 and graduated high school. So as many of you know, I grew up in Miami, Florida, and so that is where I say I got the bulk of my dance training. That is where I learned my technique, and that's where I was raised dancing. When I was 14, I moved to South Georgia, very little town, and there weren't many opportunities there to train. Mind you, by the time I was 14, I already knew that this is exactly my dream job and what I wanted to do. It was a condition when I moved to Georgia that I told my dad I had to have a dance studio at the house. He very kindly built me a little dance studio in my garage. When I tell you I spend every day in that garage, that is where I was for the past 7-8 years that I lived there. Obviously, if you live in a bigger city, there's probably more opportunity for choreographers that you have access to, or learning different styles of dance. But for me, I didn't really have all that, so I took the online classes, the YouTube videos, the CLI studio classes. For you young dancers that are watching this, I just want to reiterate, because I'm the biggest proponent of this, but improv. I think improv is the way you grow as an individual. I think it's the way you grow as a dancer, and I think that is another way I earn confidence when I go to audition, because I know my style and I know how I dance, and I found that myself through improvising. So I know that I bring something to the table that no one else does, just as much as everyone else has something that's so special about them. I think that it's really important to find that in your improv that you want to show during your audition. With basically training by myself throughout high school, I traveled to a lot of conventions, and if there was any choreographers traveling around me, I would always go there. Luckily, in my town, I'm 3 hours from Atlanta and 3 hours from Orlando, so lots of choreographers and conventions come to Atlanta and Orlando, so that is where I got a lot of my training from. I went to college, and a lot of people think I went to college for dance, but I absolutely did not. I have a degree in business management and a minor in entrepreneurship, so absolutely not dance. I get a lot of questions also in my DMs about people asking if they think a degree in dance will help them get this job. I will talk about that in a minute when I talk about your resume. In January of 2020, I was accepted into an academy and I moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to train at that academy. I trained every style while I was there. It was a very intensive academy where we danced every day. I learned a lot about strengthening my technique and just strengthening myself as a dancer during that academy. But then obviously COVID hit, so everyone was kind of stuck and what I did was just continuing to take online classes, train by myself, which is what I did until I got this contract. Something that was very important to me was aligning my training to what I want to do. I know in the United States, it's a really common thing for dancers to want to go to LA or New York. If you want to dance in ballet or commercial, you kind of align yourself to go in the path that you want to go to. But cruise ship dancing, to be honest, I did not really hear much about, but I know like my friends in Australia, that is very advertised to them. Now I of course always knew I wanted to dance on a cruise ship since I was young, so I always aligned myself towards that. With aligning yourself with your trainings, I want to say make sure you have strong technique, make sure you can pick up combos quickly, make sure you're diverse in different styles, and something I wish I did more of before I got this contract was dance more in heels. In most shows you will have to dance in heels, and it's something that I didn't really have to learn until I got here, so that is something I really regret not adding into my training. And by heels I mean more like musical theater or commercial-esque choreography with heels on. Right, so now we're going to talk about preparing for your audition. I don't really have a clear answer on how to find auditions. I really just follow a bunch of audition pages or know their websites, and so I always check to see if they have open calls or when they're having an audition that might be near me, and that is how I find auditions. I also must say I do not have an agent. I think I might be one of the only people in the cast that don't have an agent. If you have an agent, go for it. If you want to book gigs, do it. I think that's amazing. But if you don't, do not think that you can't get a job because you don't have an agent. At least from what I've heard with my friends who have agents and have booked this job, they now booked a job for 11 months, so their agent doesn't have to do anything for 11 months. They're still paying their agent royalties even though they booked a long-term contract. So that's just something to consider if you're thinking about getting signed to an agency. Things that I did to prepare for auditions is creating a show reel. If someone were to come up to you and say, I want to know who you are as a dancer, you have a short little 1 to 2 minute video that they can watch and just see the styles of dance you could do, see some of your experience, and show off your technique, show off some skills you can do if you want a little example. I just updated my show reel, so if you want to check that out on my channel, I have that. Now, I should not be saying this because my headshot was literally just my senior photo that I took from graduating college, but something you should think about is having a really nice, clear headshot of who you are, which means if you walk into an audition with brunette hair, do not give them a headshot of you with blonde hair. You do have to remember that is their first impression of you, so just make sure it's a headshot that represents you well. Now, with a resume, I'm gonna go back to talking about dance college degrees, and the question I get asked a lot is, does it help you at a cruise ship audition if you have a dance degree? And the answer is no. Not really. They're gonna see a group of dancers, they're gonna look for who has the best technique and who they want and who's aligned for what they're looking for, and then they're gonna look at your resume. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't look at it then. I was in college for 3.5 years studying business, so I don't really have much dance experience, even though I was dancing. The things that I had listed on my resume were like local little baby festival performances and things. Like, it was nothing crazy. I did a ballet 4 years ago, and so I put that in there. My resume really was not much before I got this job. So if a dance education will help you and you believe that it's going to give you great technique and it's what you want to do and it's what you want to study, then I think that's amazing, but I do not think you need it to do this job. Now, I know there's other jobs out there in the dance industry that do, but I'm just talking about cruise ship dancing. I always think wear a color to an audition, because if you're dressed in all black, you're gonna blend in. I wore a black top and green leggings. Just have something so that if the casting director is looking for you, they could be like, oh, green leggings over there, I saw you. They have something to identify you with, because when there are hundreds of people in a room, it's really hard to identify everybody. So I just think wearing a color is a really smart idea to get noticed better. You want to go there and know that you left with something, so set an intention before you walk into an audition. When you step in an audition, make sure you're going there for an experience. I know everybody in there wants the job. Set a goal to learn the choreography quicker or force yourself to go in the first group. Things like that are things that help you grow as a dancer, whether you get cut from the audition or not. For my Royal audition, my goal that I gave myself was to make one friend, and I opened my mind, decided to make a friend, and I met like 5 friends that day. Just because I opened my mind to be like, hey, I have a goal, I'm gonna make a friend, and I started talking to people. Now we're Instagram buddies. I just think it's important to set a goal for yourself so that if you do end up getting cut and you feel like you just wasted your time going to an audition, you at least gain something from it. Another tip is to put yourself out there. Your biggest fan is yourself, and you should walk in there and know that you have something to offer this company, you have something to offer these shows, and if they don't see it, that's on them, but at least you gave them everything you could. Of course, people have bad days. I've walked into auditions and fully bombed it, but I think it's important to still push yourself and put yourself out there. Just don't be shy. Being at an audition is not the time to be shy. My next tip is to feel what's right for you. Not every audition I've walked into has felt like I would be a good fit at that job. Maybe you're someone who's gotten offers at multiple places, or you're looking at where you want to take your dance career. It's really important to know where you feel like you would fit well and the styles of dance you enjoy doing, because you don't want to have a job where you don't enjoy doing the style of dance or the choreography that you're given. Definitely try to find your groove in that sense. Go to auditions, take them as classes, take them as experience, and just see where not only it shows that the company is interested in you, but that you're interested in being a part of that company. And that goes for anything. One more tip is not to get discouraged, and do not quit if you are cut. I have been cut so many times, definitely got way more no's than I've gotten yeses. So I just want this to be a little reminder. If you are ever upset that you've gotten cut from a job, it's just not meant to be at that time. Do not get discouraged, keep working at it. I was cut from a Royal Caribbean audition back in 2019. I just think it's funny how I kept trying, kept working at it, came back a couple years later, and now I have the job. So you just never know when it's your turn. Just do not get discouraged, and definitely keep working at your dreams. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about my audition day. Everyone I've spoken to has a fully different audition story, but I just want to share mine. So I auditioned in Atlanta, Georgia on February 28th, 2022. So at the time, I don't know if they're still doing this, but you had to book an appointment for the session that you wanted to audition in. So I selected the hip hop audition, and there was a contemporary audition later that day. Went to the hip hop audition in the morning, learned the combo, did the combo. I got selected to stay, and then after that first round, they asked for a technique, so that was right in my pocket. So I was ready for that technique round. I think it was kicks, turns, and then into a calypso leap. From there, they made another cut, and then they asked if anyone could tumble, and that didn't like affect their decision, but they just asked if anyone knew how to tumble. And so I raised my hand, I said I could tumble, and they said, all right, just stay later. To anyone who had made it at that point, that's when they said the typical audition speech, like, you have made it forward, you may hear from us in the next 12 months. If you don't quit, keep coming back. But basically, you're in their book. You are in those potential candidates that could be chosen to get casted, and that's really what that means. Anyone who didn't tumble left the room, and then they had me stay. Literally just put an iPad up and said, show us any tricks you want to show. So I did an aerial, I did a front aerial, I did a round off back handspring, and I don't think I threw a round off tuck because that was a bit intimidating. Now, it's really funny because I am now a showgirl, so I never tumble. I'm always in heels, but I just think it's funny because I had to tumble in my audition, but I literally never used it. But I do have friends who do tumble in the shows, and yeah, it is useful for that. After my hip hop audition, since I was coming back for the contemporary round, I just left the studio, grabbed a bite to eat, and then came back. And for the contemporary combo, they send you the link to the combo you need to learn before the audition, so you're already prepared once you get there. Now, they did not do this for the hip hop portion. You had to learn it during the audition, but for the contemporary one, I already came prepared and I knew the combo. The combo was a Mark Meismer combo and Autumn Miller was assisting, so that was the vibe of the contemporary. So lots of legs, turns, long lines, that's what they were looking for. I did have a costume change. For the hip hop audition, I dressed in hip hop type clothes. I had a blue baggy t-shirt on, remember the colors, and then I changed into my green Lululemon leggings and a black sports bra for the contemporary audition, because for me, I love different colored leggings. I feel like they really show off my legs and my lines, and that's what I wanted to show off during my audition. After the contemporary round, they made a cut, and then we had to do our technique round again. It was exactly the same thing I did after the hip hop round. They made another cut after the technique round, and then we did the commercial heels portion of the audition. I will say I think everyone except me in the audition had musical theater heels, so like Laducas. I wore these heels, like my sock boot heels. And personally, I feel like that fit the combo more. It was more of that kind of vibe. And I know those aren't the heels you use on the job, but they give me a lot of support. And from there, we learned a heels combo. Again, was not given to prepare for in advance. You had to learn it there and you had to pick it up pretty quickly. So once we learned the heels combo, we split up into groups of 3 and then did the audition, and they videoed us. I loved doing the heels combo. I loved the energy of the room, the atmosphere, the casting director, the choreographer. Everyone I auditioned with was just so nice and supportive. I think that's really important because once I left that audition, I knew whether I got the job or not. I had a great audition. I left feeling so motivated. So yeah, from there they made one more cut. It was a very small cut, and then they gave us the same little speech to the select few that were left in the room, and they just said, "You will now be in consideration for future castings." That whole speech. Then we were free to leave. I have right there on my wall, those are my audition numbers from that audition in Atlanta, and I got the number 28, which is crazy because that's my lucky number. That was the number she handed me to audition, and I was like, oh, that's my lucky number. And she's like, then it's your lucky day. And it made me so happy. So yeah, after then, you will not hear back until you get casted for a job, or maybe if they're considering casting you for a ship. In my experience, I heard absolutely nothing until June 14th was the day I received the email that I got my contract. They are really big on encouraging you that if you do not get casted within 12 months to re-audition again, because they're always looking for specific things. You shouldn't be too discouraged if you get cut from an audition, because sometimes it literally has nothing to do with the dancer that you are. You can only control what you bring to the audition, and besides that, it's out of your hands. Now I want to talk about getting the job and preparing for my contract. I had 3 months within receiving the contract and signing my contract and then starting the contract. So within that time, there's a bunch of paperwork you have to sign within about the first like 3 days. You gotta read so much paperwork, and of course, since this is my first contract, I didn't fully know what I was getting into, so I made sure that I read all the fine print, signed everything I had to. This is the time where you could communicate any concerns to the office. Within those 3 months, you also have to complete a medical evaluation. I did an x-ray, I did a blood test, like they checked everything about me. It's just to make sure that you're healthy and you're able to work, and especially as dancers, we need to be fairly fit and healthy to be able to perform our duties on this job. There are so many trainings you have to do before you get on the ship. There's like a maritime training that you have to do, which took me about like a day or 2 because I kind of binged it. I did not know this until about a month before I left for my contract. There's a website called Royal Caribbean University, and there will be assignments on there. I got a lot of them done before I left for my contract, so when many of my friends were trying to complete them while we were in rehearsals, I had a lot of them done. That is something I recommend, that if you do get a contract and you have your trainings accessible before you leave for your contract, definitely try to get as many of them done before you have to get on the ship. I think I've covered everything that I know about how I got this job. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions, feel free to either leave me a comment below, DM me on Instagram. I love talking to people about this. I love helping as much as I can. I was always that little dreamer who wanted to do exactly what I'm doing now. If you are a dancer watching this, just keep working hard, and I hope this motivated you at least a little bit. Alright guys, you know what to do. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell so you're notified every time I make a video. Make sure you follow me on Instagram because I post my dance content and everywhere that I'm traveling on there. This is the first video that I'm filming when I have 1,000 subscribers, so I started this channel just for fun and just to document my memories as like a little video diary for myself, just to have people who like care and watch my videos and ask me questions and are entertained by the content I post. Makes me so happy. So thank you so much if you subscribe to my channel, and if you're not, then you should subscribe now. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day.